angel, may by his passion and cross be brought to the glory of his resurrection, through the same Christ our Lord. Amen.
Kini ang simbiyanan sa RPN Radio Philippines Network DXKS DXKS 1080 ang inyong Radio Ronda 5,000 watts nagsimbiya sa ikatulong andana sa UFCO Lim Building, Borromeo Street, Dakbayan sa Surigao. RPN Radio Philippines Network DXKS 1080 ang inyong Radio Ronda.
Ashamed of being mentally ill.
How do you think the gang problem can be solved?
There's no excuse for this.
Meth has no boundaries. It is a demon.
In the end, it feels like it takes your soul.
I am today announcing my intention to run for the presidency of the Philippines.
I never expected that I'll be assigned to Bongbong Marcos these elections. I was surprised, I was anxious at the same time kasi nga controversial siyang kandidato. Meron siyang malalim na history, pati yung family niya. Talagang maraming sumusuporta, pero marami ring tumutuligsa sa kanya.
Proclaiming Ferdinand Bongbong Romualdez Marcos as the duly elected President of the Republic of the Philippines.
Ang taas ng emosyon ko, parang hindi ko ma-explain yung pakiramdam. Parang 8 months ago, hindi pa nga sigurado kung tatakbong presidente. Tapos ngayon, magiging pangulo na.
I want to do well because when a president does well, the country does well.
This is Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines. I'm Mai Rodriguez, sitting in for Pia Ontiveros. Tonight on the program, 3 more people are set to join the official family of President-elect Bongbong Marcos. Security will be tight for the inauguration of Vice President-elect Sara Duterte in Davao City on Sunday. And the Golden State Warriors are the new NBA champions, while Stephen Curry is named Finals Most Valuable Player for the first time in his career. President-elect Bongbong Marcos nominates 3 more officials to his incoming administration. Former Senate President Juan Ponce Enrile, who was also Defense Minister of the late former President Ferdinand Marcos, will become Presidential Legal Counsel. Enrile was one of the implementers of martial law, but also helped topple the Marcos regime in 1986. Justice Secretary Menardo Guevara will serve as Solicitor General. Guevara says he was offered to head the OSG a decade ago, and he says it suits him better because of his law practice for 25 years. Meanwhile, retired Armed Forces Chief Jose Faustino Jr. has been designated Defense Officer in Charge and Senior Undersecretary. It's going to be a historic weekend in Mindanao as Davao City hosts the inauguration ceremony of Vice President-elect Sara Duterte on Sunday. Let's check on the situation there. David Santos joins us from Davao City. What can you tell us, David?
Well, tonight, my workers are rushing the construction of this makeshift stage just behind me here at the San Pedro Square, right in the center of Davao City for Sunday's event. But before the formal oath-taking ceremony, Vice Mayor-elect Sara Duterte will be attending Mass at the San Pedro Cathedral just beside this platform. Now, this stretch of San Pedro Street has been closed to traffic to give way to preparations for the occasion. Many other roads leading to this venue have also been blocked off, since these will serve as designated areas where the general public can witness the spectacle. Now, fences, barricades, and checkpoints have also been set up forming a ring of security around San Pedro Square, the inauguration venue. Now, the entire Davao region has been placed on alert for days now. Gun ban took effect on Thursday and will last until next Tuesday. More than 3,000 police and military personnel will be deployed all over the city. Military units have also been doing air and naval patrols in surrounding communities. They have not received any report of threat from armed groups. Now, visitors have to go through tight security checks while vehicles are subjected to random inspections.
Ipakita natin na maganda ang Mindanao. Maganda dito sa Davao City. So we are trying our best and it is our opportunity sa government, particularly from the security sector, na ipakita natin na safe ang Davao, sir. Safe ang Davao region.
Rallies are not allowed near the inauguration venue except in Freedom Park along Rojas Avenue. It is the only area where protesters are permitted to gather. Authorities are expecting 20 to 25,000 people to attend the ceremony, which will be capped with a 5-hour concert. Among those performing are rapper Andrew E., actresses Giselle Sanchez, Sanya Lopez, and RC Munoz, as well as Davao City-based artists. Outgoing President and Sara's father, Rodrigo Duterte, leads the list of expected guests on Sunday. Mike.
David, of course, we are still in a pandemic and security remains a concern there in Mindanao. Well, this is a historic ceremony. Will it also be a public event like no other?
Well, that's right, Mino. This is the first time Mindanao, particularly Davao City, is hosting the inauguration of an incoming vice president. In fact, this is the only second time in recent years that a presidential or vice presidential inauguration will be held outside Luzon or Metro Manila. The last time was during Gloria Macapagal Arroyo's 2004 presidential inauguration in Cebu. Now, as per the mandate, those attending Sunday's inauguration here in Davao City will be required to wear face masks. The city government is also asking those who are not feeling well to skip the event, while parents are being discouraged to bring small children, both for security and safety reasons. So this is an outdoor event, Mino. Organizers are preparing to hand out disposable raincoats, since umbrellas and jackets, along with backpacks and non-transparent water containers, will not be allowed here as part of Davao City's standard security measures. Back to you, Mike.
Thanks for keeping us posted. David Santos there reporting live from Davao City. All eyes are on Vice President-elect Sara Duterte when she takes her oath on Sunday. Preparations are underway for the expected crowd that will culminate in a Thanksgiving concert. While the incoming Vice President has tapped a local designer to dress her up for the big event. AC Nichols tells us more.
Davao-based designer Silverio Anglacer has been making dresses for Sara Duterte for years. So it came as no surprise when the Vice President-elect again tapped him for a milestone in her political career.
For this inauguration, she just informed me na she likes green for a gown na Filipino. So medyo na-ready na rin ako. Then ay talagang sinabi ko, yes, we'll go green.
This Sunday, Duterte will be sworn in as Vice President by Justice Ramon Paul Hernando, her former professor and close friend. Based on the designer's sketches, Inday Sara, as she is fondly called, will wear a Filipiniana gown that features simple detailing. The material is silk chiffon, light and flowy.
I know what really works for her. I cannot do something like over the top. So I'll just a little bit of something. It's fine with her. And she, parang sa tingin ko naman, yun na yung feel niya talaga na i-carry.
The event brings more visitors to the city, with a number of hotels operating at near to full capacity. Davao City was among the most restrictive in terms of reopening amid the health crisis, lifting testing and quarantine requirements for tourists just early this year.
Since the inaugural is held here, it's also like si VP Inday is not introducing but parang much declaring to the country that Davao City is really open right now after the pandemic.
This family came all the way from Laguna. Father Jerry De Vera is celebrating his birthday on Sunday, and he plans to spend the afternoon witnessing Sarah's oath-taking. He says he voted for the unit team.
Isang kasaysayan na rin para sa akin kasi nga unang-una makikita ko siya, napunta rin po kami ng rally, pero for the first time yung nanalo siya at mapapanood ko pa actual inauguration.
The inaugural rites will end before 6 in the evening, but celebrations are expected to go on for hours.
Crowds are likely to stay for the rest of Sunday night for a Thanksgiving concert. Most of the performers are artists who supported Duterte's VP bid, including Giselle Sanchez, Andrew E., and R.C. Munoz. AC Nichols, CNN Philippines, Davao City.
CNN Philippines will bring you live the vice presidential inauguration on Sunday. But before that, we'll have the documentary Inday Sara, the Vice President, and an oath-taking special with our senior anchor, Rico Hizon. The special programming begins at 3 p.m. on June 19th.
I am today announcing
8:30, CNN Philippines will bring you Chasing the President. Our correspondent Rex Remitio looks back on the filing of Certificate of Candidacy, the campaign, the victory, and the proclamation of President-elect Bongbong Marcos. Coming up, a no-show yet again, the SUV driver in the controversial hit and run failing to face prosecutors in Mandaluyong City. While motorists in Quezon City have to take alternate routes for now, a portion of EDSA has been closed for repairs. Details next, right here on Newsnight.
Exodus 18:21. But you choose from the people capable men, God-fearing men, men of truth, those who hate bribes, and put them over the people as rulers of thousands, rulers of hundreds, rulers of 50s, and rulers of 10s.
Ang mabuting balita ay hatid sa inyo ng MX3.
Fried chicken? Timplang happy! With easy-to-cook Magnolia Chicken Timplados. Iba't ibang sarap ng chicken, kaya. Anong Magnolia Chicken Timplados mo? Iba't ibang easy chicken sarap.
Land Bank has always believed that in this country, we have to dream big. And so we learned to build something out of nothing. Improving the quality of life for our people so that we can keep in step with a brave new world and make our big dreams come true.
Let the madness begin.
The Zalora Big Fashion Sale is here. It's going to be big on fashion, bigger on discounts, with the biggest brands. From the 17th to the 26th of June. Download the app now.
Beyond bringing power to all, we're taking steps to produce and deliver Earth-friendly energy today and for our children's tomorrow. Powering the good life. Meralco.
This is CNN Philippines. After over a week of hiding and 2 days since his first public appearance, the suspect in the Mandaluyong hit and run is nowhere to be found again. This time, he did not appear before the preliminary investigation on his case. George Cahiles reports.
Jose Antonio San Vicente did not show up during the preliminary investigation on the frustrated murder and abandonment of one's victim cases that he is facing here at the Mandaluyong City Prosecutor's Office. San Vicente is the SUV driver who hit and rammed security guard Christian Florande outside the mall here in Mandaluyong City on June 5. San Vicente's lawyer Danny Macalino says the attendance of his client is not required yet since they just got a copy of the complaint today. That means San Vicente has yet to file a counter affidavit that will require him to personally appear here at the prosecutor's office. Victim Florande, who was wearing sunglasses and hoodie and was still limping, arrived here together with the Mandaluyong City Police. His lawyer Federico Biolena says they also submitted additional pieces of evidence to strengthen their case against the SUV driver. Biolena says as far as he knows, the camp of San Vicente has yet to personally reach out to his client, and it is up for Florande and his family if they want to enter into negotiations with the suspect to drop the complaints.
They cannot submit the counter affidavit now without the complaint.
So hindi naman necessary na dapat pumunta yung kliyente nyo?
23.
Medyo disappointed ako pero may hustisya naman tayo may proseso tayo. Susundin natin ang proseso, okay? Hindi ako makakapagsalita tungkol sa mga negotiation. But let justice run its course, okay?
Biolena says the preliminary investigation will resume on June 23. George Cahiles, CNN Philippines.
Heads up, motorists expect heavier traffic on a portion of EDSA in Quezon City. The center lane of EDSA Timog flyover heading southbound is now under repair because of large potholes and cracks. The area near Kamuning, including the road under the damaged flyover, will be closed for 1 to 2 weeks because of falling debris. Authorities have advised motorists to take the service road, Scout Borromeo Street, Eugenio Lopez Drive, and Mabuhay lanes. The Duterte administration has yet to reach its target COVID-19 vaccination with less than 2 weeks before its term ends. Our page Javier gives us a look at last-minute efforts to get Filipinos vaccinated amid the uptick in cases.
Senior citizen Louie Bernardo gets her second booster shot in a Quezon City mall. She says she did not hesitate to get it in light of rising COVID-19 infections.
Yung unang-una po na-nervous ako kasi sa mga naririnig ko. Pero yung ngayon po, talagang dedicated po ako na pumunta talaga. Gusto ko pong maging safety dahil naniniwala po ako na yung booster na yan, yan po ang makakatulong.
Bernardo says her fellow senior citizens and those eligible should get vaccinated for protection. Mara Morales, on the other hand, initially had doubts of getting her son inoculated because of his asthma.
Nung una, ayoko muna ipabaksin anak ko. Ngayon naman so far marami nang nagpapabaksin na medyo okay naman.
Bernardo and the son of Morales heed the appeal of government to get the shot. Official data show nearly 70 million Filipinos have received the primary dose series, 7 million short of the target. On the other hand, booster vaccination is low, with only 14.5 million people boosted as of June 12. Many regions like the Bangsamoro, Central and Western Visayas, as well as Caraga, still lag behind. In a bid to ramp up inoculation, authorities launched the Back to Vax Champion program. Health Secretary Francisco Duque, Interior Secretary Eduardo Año, and COVID-19 Response Advisor Vince Dizon lead the event.
Huwag po tayo mag-aantay ng surge o yung kung tataas man ang bilang ng kaso ng COVID, hikayatin ninyo silang lahat na magpabakuna na para matatag ang wall of immunity.
Dizon says vaccination will help the country live with the virus and move towards the new normal. The DOH says vaccine supply will last for the rest of the year. The agency has administered 155 million out of the 244 million vials it received so far. National Vaccine Operations Center head Mirna Kabutahe says the recommendation for booster shots for ages 12 to 17 is up for approval. She says officials aim to release the guidelines and begin rollout hopefully by next week. But for now, they're holding off recommendations for second booster doses. Paige Javier, CNN Philippines.
A number of lawmakers have been pushing for the creation of a virology institute. The proposal, however, is in limbo in Congress. Caroline Bongkin explains how the top research facility could help the country in the face of a pandemic.
Vaccines at this health center in Muzon, Taytay, Rizal are all imported, like this measles vaccine made in India. The government spends over 7 billion pesos yearly to buy vaccines for the National Immunization Program.
This is for 40 plus million Filipinos each year. Lahat yan imported.
DOST Undersecretary Rowena Guevara says developing our own vaccines under the proposed Virology Institute of the Philippines would be less costly. Filed before Congress last year, a bill creating a Virology Institute, approved by the House of Representatives. But the proposal didn't pass the Senate Committee on Science and Technology.
So it's quite disappointing given that we are trying to provide a long-term solution to future pandemics in the country.
This is supposed to be a top research facility for the study of viruses and viral diseases. The DOST is rolling programs for the Virology Institute like basic research for vaccine development and creating test kits for the African swine fever. Building the facility in New Clark Economic Zone will push through. But without passing the law, the institute will have no guaranteed funding and no permanent staff, limiting their research and making them unable to create vaccines.
We're going to put there a biosafety level 4 facility na pwede magkaroon ng live virus. Imagine mo, wala kang personnel na magpapatakbo nun.
Albay Representative Joey Salceda and Senator Bongo are among those who pushed for the Virology Institute. They are refiling the bill in the next Congress. Go says our inability to produce vaccines is a big weakness in the healthcare system. Salceda says a Virology Institute will not only help the Philippines respond to viruses affecting humans, but also those on animals and plants, which cost billions in economic losses.
Swine fever, ang damage sa atin, 135 billion in damage. The cost of not having the VIP is indeed economically costly at saka poses a threat to human security.
The help that it can give to farmers, fisher folk, humans, so much, The investment that we're asking for is so little, but the rewards is so much.
Caroline Bongkin, CNN Philippines.
Some senators earlier raised concerns the proposed Virology Institute will have overlapping functions with the RITM, but health officials said it will broaden the agency's expertise. Labor advocates are calling on the incoming administration to address the maltreatment of overseas Filipino workers. 7 returning domestic helpers from Kuwait have reported cases of physical and verbal abuse, starvation, and unpaid wages. The Samahan ng mga DH sa Gitnang Silangan and Migrante Philippines said the Marcos leadership should revisit the labor export policy. The Labor Department and the Overseas Workers Welfare Administration have yet to comment on the issue. When we come back on Newsnight, a double win for Stephen Curry today, who has taken the championship and his first finals MVP title. Plus, we're seeing one of the first solo projects from BTS since news that they're taking a break, with Jungkook set to drop a song with an American artist. More news after the break.
Let the madness begin.
This Laura Big Fashion Sale is here. It's going to be big on fashion, bigger on discounts, with the biggest brands. From the 17th to the 26th of June. Download the app now.
La Union has always been synonymous with surfing. But off the coast is a prime swimming destination, unbeknownst to most tourists.
Mula nung na-open po ang Imuke Island, nagkaroon na po ng livelihood ang bawat fisher folks dito. Yung pong typical na pag-fishing lang po at nakukuha nila, ngayon po ay meron na silang nakukuhang pera sa tourism, sa product nila, especially sea urchins, then seaweed.
Dito po sa La Union, marami kasi ang nagtatanim ng mga mais na pangunahing tinatanim ng mga magsasaka. At kaya po naisipan namin po na gawing chichacorn po ang product po ng magsasaka para po sa kakabuti ng mga members ng aming kooperatiba at saka sa buong La Union po.
What's chicha corn without the perfect dip? Find the right match with La Union's sugarcane vinegar.
Ito pong suka namin sa Nagilian, pure na katas ng tubo, maasim at saka may lasa rin na matamis-tamis. At saka number 1, mabango.
And just before you head back home, don't forget to bring a part of LU with you, a sturdy walis tambo.
Ang Bagulin ay tinaguri ang Home of Quality Brooms. Ang ina-assure namin sa mga bumibili sa amin, sa mga walis tambo dito sa amin, na talagang maganda yung gawa dito sa amin at saka hindi madaling masira. Ang mga produkto namin na walis ay dinadala mostly sa Maynila. Malaki talaga ang tulong ng mga expressways natin tulad ng T-Flex kasi lessen na yung travel time na pagbiyahe namin at saka yung hire na rin ng mga truck, medyo mababa na rin.
As you plan your trip, prepare to be charmed and mesmerized by the delicious snacks, vacation spots, and enticing products of the beautiful province of La Union.
Welcome back. In sports, the Golden State Warriors are NBA champs for the 4th time in the last 8 years. The Warriors conquered the Boston Celtics in Game 6 of the finals today, 103-90. Steph Curry made 34 points for Golden State and was named the finals' most valuable player for the first time in his decorated career. A new home awaits national athletes and possible future Olympians. This afternoon, President Duterte led the groundbreaking ceremony of the Philippine Sports Training Center, which will serve as the primary venue for national teams and training pools. Situated in 25 hectares of land in Barangay Parang, donated by the provincial government of Bataan, the training center will have facilities for national athletes competing in at least 39 Olympic and non-Olympic sports. The project is expected to finish by 2025. Music news now, it's official. Jungkook of BTS and Charlie Puth are dropping a song together. On TikTok, Charlie gave fans a preview of Left and Right, featuring the chart-topping K-pop idol. The American singer says if the track gets 500,000 pre-saves, it will be out by June 24th. Let's take a look at the viral TikTok.
Hello? Hey man, what does it sound like when you sing, "Memories follow me left and right"? Sure, that's easy. Do you mean like this? Memories follow me left and right. Yes, that's perfect. Now can you sing, "I can feel you over here," but on the left side of the microphone? I can feel you over here. And now the same thing on the right side of the microphone. I can feel you over here. Put it all together, and it sounds like this. Memories follow me left and right. I can feel you over here. I can feel you over here. You take up every corner of my mind. This is gonna be crazy.
Sounds good. The two artists have collaborated before, performing Puth's We Don't Talk Anymore in 2018 at the MJA Awards in South Korea. And that's it for now. Join me again on news.ph at 7 p.m. I'm Mai Rodriguez. Before we go, a promising future for the country's energy sector with the implementation of the Energy Efficiency Law. The Energy Department gives us a peek at what's in store for the industry.
What's ahead for energy efficiency and conservation in the country? We'd like to think it's bright. As part of the Department of Energy's way of communicating with the ever-digital age, we've launched in partnership with the USAID Energy Secure Philippines 3 digital platforms. The first of which is City of Energia. The City of Energia is a virtual platform, showroom of sorts, that allows for our consuming public information on several things. Energy efficiency best practices, whether it's the residential, commercial, industrial, or transport sectors. It allows for additional information as to the energy consumption of particular practices, products, whether it's in buildings, facilities, or even vehicles. It also serves as a digital repository of information related to energy efficiency, renewable energy, energy resiliency, and overall sustainability in terms of energy. Another way we engage the public is through the platform What Matters. It's a play on words. What matters, what is important. It focuses on energy consuming products. It's tied to our Philippine Energy Labeling or PELP system, wherein information with respect to the energy consumption of a particular product, which would be higher in terms of energy efficiency rating, meaning it consumes less electricity. Through that particular platform, we will be able to compare. And of course, additional tips for an energy efficient use of your appliances. The third portal would be your Enerhiyang Atin. It's the policy and regulation repository of the Department of Energy, again in partnership with USAID Energy Secure Philippines. It offers up-to-date information on the plans, programs, and activities in addition to the regulations affecting the energy sector. So there's emphasis on renewable energy, energy efficiency and conservation, as well as energy resiliency. Ang energy efficiency at conservation, ito yung hawak natin, nasa kamay natin ito. Ito yung ating behavioral, maliliit na bagay na kaya nating gawin para siguraduhin na maganda ang ating hinaharap na kinabukasan. Kung hindi naman natin kayang maglagay halimbawa ng mga solar rooftop, yung ating practice na lang na siguraduhin ng ating mga appliances ay unplugged, siguraduhin na ang ating aircon ay nasa 24 degrees, malaking bagay na ito para tulungan ng ating kalikasan at ang ating bansa sa isang mas masagana, mas masinop at mas maliwanag na bukas.
Kini ang simbianan sa RPN Radio Philippines Network DXKS DXKS 1080 ang inyong Radio Ronda 5,000 watts nagsimbiya sa ikatulong andana sa UFCO Lim Building, Borromeo Street, Dakbayan sa Surigao. RPN Radio Philippines Network DXKS 1080 ang inyong Radio Ronda.
The COVID-19 pandemic has made us more aware of our surroundings, specifically how viruses and diseases spread so easily. Some of us have become more careful about sharing food or drinks to others to avoid any kind of infection transmission. Today, we'll learn more about two infectious diseases that can spread via saliva-related transmission or droplet transmission: infectious mononucleosis or mono, and a virus called mumps. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, and this is MedTalk Health Talk on CNN Philippines. Today, we'll discuss two specific infectious diseases and how they spread and how to treat them. With us is Dr. Nicole Pereras Grande. She is a pediatric infectious disease specialist at the Makati Medical Center and Asian Hospital and Medical Center. Also with us is Dr. Cesar Matthew Madria. He's a family medicine physician at the Cagayan Valley Medical Center. Let's focus on what mono is. Dr. Nicole, can you please tell us what mono is and what causes mono?
So I guess if you were a fan of teenage movies or teen movies, you'd hear about this primarily because it's spread via saliva. So a patient with mono would have fever, a sore throat, and swollen lymph nodes. So there's also some form of fatigue. So this was quite popular because it got focused a lot of teenage movies or series.
Now, Dr. Matt, is there one part of the body where infectious mononucleosis really shines, really shows its effects?
For infectious mononucleosis, the typical symptoms of this disease usually appear 4 to 6 weeks after being infected with your Epstein-Barr virus. So the first symptom is the feeling of malaise. That is followed by the triad. Usually the first is the fever that reaches 39 to 40 degrees Celsius in the afternoon or early in the evening. Secondly is the sore throat that is with the pus-like material in the back of the throat and the enlarged lymph nodes profoundly in the neck.
Some of the symptoms that Dr. Matt mentioned of infectious mononucleosis, we also see that if we have the flu, maybe if we have some other sickness. What can stand out with infectious mononucleosis? What is something that may prompt a physician like yourself to think that this could be infectious mononucleosis?
It zeroes in on the young adult and teenage group, 15 to 24 years old more or less, because the younger age group, usually they don't have symptoms. So it goes unnoticed. And one prominent thing about mono is the fatigue that comes with it. If you as a physician would do a basic CBC, you would see a distinct part of the blood count, which are the monocytes, would increase and the white counts would also be high. So that would kind of differentiate it from other symptoms, the triad. So there's fever, there's sore throat, prominent lymphadenopathy or swollen lymph nodes, and certain things you would see in the blood count.
Mono is notoriously known as the kissing disease. Could you explain why it got this name? And apart from kissing, are there any other ways that infectious mononucleosis can be transmitted?
Well, it probably gained some sort of pop culture connotation because it would be featured on some shows as you'd get the disease after a makeout session because of saliva transmission. But actually, there have been studies. There are very small risks of passing it on via organ transplant or via breastfeeding, but very, very minimal chance. Majority is really from saliva transmission.
If someone gets infectious mononucleosis, can they get it again or do they form antibodies for this?
Well, they tend to shed over time, even when they're already well. There have been noted episodes still of viral shedding over many months after. But I think what tends to worry people are the complications of mono, though rare. That's why we kind of tell our patients they cannot engage in contact sports or very intense physical activity for about 3 weeks to 4 weeks after because there's a risk of splenic rupture. So one of the internal organs, which is the spleen, tends to be affected when it comes to mono.
Dr. Matt, when it comes to infectious mononucleosis, ano pang ibang mga sakit ang pwedeng mapagkamalang? Ibang sakit pero infectious mononucleosis pala.
There is this wrong connotation most of the time that infectious mononucleosis is similar with mumps because mumps already has this signs and symptoms also of your fever, easy fatigability, and enlargement of the lymph nodes. So that could be also one of the probable diseases.
How about tonsillitis, which is common with us Filipinos, or maybe strep throat infection? Can these be misconstrued as those disease entities yung pala infectious mononucleosis pala? Do they share similar traits?
They can have the same time infection with your sore throat that is caused by bacteria. So that's possible na magsabay sila. They could appear together.
Okay. Now, Dr. Nicole, the important question now is the proper diagnosis. How is one properly diagnosed to have infectious mononucleosis?
Sometimes a clue for us physicians is yung mga pasyente natin, di ba, pag may sore throat, binibigyan natin ng amoxicillin or ampicillin. May porsyento po na they get a rash. It's called the morbilliform rash or a non-specific rash that tends to after giving these antibiotics. So some of the time, we would ask for specific lab tests, not just a basic blood count, to help us with the diagnosis. But this tends to self-resolve really, and it's very rare that we would need to give steroids for treatment of mono.
Now, Dr. Nicole, people with infectious mono, do they get well on their own kahit walang tinitake na gamot?
Most of the time, Doc Freddy, hindi kailangan talaga ng medicine. They get well by themselves. But if they have certain complications, for example, if your tonsils are so swollen that it makes it hard to breathe, or there's some sort of airway obstruction, or you would have other complications like swelling of the heart muscle, sometimes we give steroids for a week or so, and that will help resolve symptoms. But majority of the time, they get well po on their own.
For those who are recovering at home, they were diagnosed with infectious mononucleosis. What are good things to have at home that can sort of help with the symptoms ng infectious mono?
First, they need to get plenty of rest. And also, they need to be hydrated, so they need to drink water most of the time. They can take paracetamol for fever and pains, but avoid aspirin for children and teenagers to prevent damage to the liver or brain, or what we call the Rye syndrome.
When we come back, we'll discuss who are at risk of developing another infectious disease called mumps. We'll learn about this condition and its complications to our health. Only here on MedTalk Health Talk.
SMC, San Miguel Corporation. Bisag unsang industriya ang sudlan niini, tinguha sa SMC ang pag-uswag o paglambo sa mga Pilipino. Karon, gikan sa SMC, aniya na ang SMC Davao Cement. SMC Davao Cement, gama sa Davao para sa Mindanao. SMC Davao Cement, ato ni Bay.
Protektahi ang imong mga mata batok sa delikado ug makadaot nga ultraviolet nga silaw sa adlaw ug uban pa. Pinaagi sa pagsulob og eksakto nga prescription sa antiyohos o antipara. Likay ang mga simptomas sama sa hanap nga pananaw sa layo o duol nga basahon, sakit sa ulo ug uban pa nga makaapekto sa atong kahimsog nga ang hinungdan depekto sa atong mga mata. Alang sa kumpleto nga primary eye care, contact lenses, fashion eyewear, computer eyeglasses, sunglasses, accessories ug uban pa, adto kita sa AG Buñuel Optical Clinic. Ang AG Buñuel Optical Clinic nagpahinumdum kanato nga ang kahimsog sa atong mga mata usa ka prioridad nga angay ipa-check up kausa matag tuig aron pagsiguro nga luwas kita sa piligrong mga sakit. Pinaagi sa lisensyado og qualified optometrists nga maoy mo prescribe sa eksaktong kagamitan og kung primary eye care ang paghisgutan. Duaw lang silang buhatan sa 3636 sa Nicolas Street, Surigao City ug adunay ilang extension office sa Aurelianida Street, Cantilan, Surigao del Sur. Ayaw kalimti higala, AG Buñuel Optical Clinic.
Ang AG Buñuel Optical Clinic doon na branch dito sa lungsod sa Dapa sa may Lupis Haina Street, Poblasyon Dapa, Surigao del Norte.
Ang AG Buñuel Optical Clinic dinhi sa syudad ng Surigao no transfer na sa bag-ong location sa Nicolas Street Ragyahapon, tapad sa Garcia Hotel at bang sa Unicity.
GSM Blue ang kasama. Drink responsibly. Ang Gen Pomelo, kuhang-kuha ng GSM Blue. Choose what's true and just chill and enjoy with GSM Blue. Drink responsibly.
Ang Riverside Parts Master Incorporated na sa ilang bagong location sa Dalan, Burgos, ning atong syudad. Mahimo niyong tawagan sa telephone number 231-7478 or 826-3663. Mga produkto nga inyong mapalit, genuine, Makita Power Tools sama sa planer, drill, grinder, Triton Paints, construction supplies, angle bars, flat bars, GI pipes, automotive spare parts, Firefly electrical devices sama sa switches, bulbs ug outlets. Adto ang Riverside Parts Master Incorporated sa ilang bagong pwesto sa Dalan, Burgos ning syudad. Makahangyo ka o makabarato pagyod diha sa Riverside Parts Master Incorporated.
Sipon plus baradong ilong na may kasamang pananakit ng ulo? Pre, ba't ka nagtitiis? Kung meron naman Calabo Premium Rub, Calabo Premium Rub, isang pahid lang, nanunuot ang sarap sa pakiramdam sa ulo, ilong at sarap sa may ginhawa. Tandaan, basta sipon na may kasamang sakit ng ulo at baradong ilong, magpahid lang ng Calabo Premium Rub. Mabisa, kaya sigurado. Gawa ng Jesser Marketing. Mabibili na ngayon sa mga butika. Ang kapingot sa ilong nga imong giantos, hasol kaayo kini hilabi na kung apilan mong pagsipon nga lisod tangtangon. Sulay higala ang gahom sa Kalabo Premium Rub. Ipahid palibot sa imong ilong aron ang gahom sa Kalabo Extract inumanan sa malunggay and virgin coconut oil manuhot-suhot kini. Kalabo Premium Rub, ang sulbad sa pingot nga ilong. Kalabo Premium Rub is a quality product of Jester Marketing.
RPN Radio Philippines Network Radyo Ronda DXKS Surigao. Member, kapisanan ng mga broadcaster ng Pilipinas.
I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez and welcome back to MedTalk Health Talk, where caring is always our calling. Earlier, we discussed what mono is and what its symptoms are. Now we discuss another infectious disease, mumps, or what we call beke. Dr. Nicole, can you briefly discuss what is mumps? What causes mumps?
So mumps is a preventable disease. It's a viral infection. And it's prominent because you also have lymph node swelling similar to mono. But this time, medyo specific siya na nandito siya sa harap ng tenga. So it's characteristic because it obstructs the angle of the jaw and the ear. So the ear kind of gets displaced. And you have a prominent swelling on your salivary gland area, specifically in front of the ear.
What type of symptoms will someone who is infected with mumps have?
There are symptoms similar to any viral infection, Doc Freddy. So that's fever, a headache, you could have body pain. So parang kahit common trangkaso siya eh. But what's very specific is you have lymph node swelling, particularly in front of the ear, and it kind of makes the angle of the jaw disappear. In fact, it can be so swollen that when you press on it, it's hard to find the bone of the jaw.
Earlier sa infectious mono, we learned that ang age group dito who are most at risk is yung mga adolescents. How about mumps? Meron bang age group na mas common itong mumps?
For mumps naman, there are specific groups that are at risk of having this. First is those with immunodeficiency diseases like people receiving immunosuppressive medications, those with cancer, and those affecting the immune system. Another are the babies born to infected mothers. While it is not common, women who become infected with mumps during pregnancy can transmit the infection to their unborn babies. Another is during outbreaks, especially in places without enough spaces like dormitories. And lastly, and most importantly, are those having not been vaccinated.
Let's explain to our viewers, how is this actually passed on from someone to another person?
Mumps spread through direct contact with the saliva or respiratory droplets from the mouth, nose, or the throat. An infected person can spread the virus by coughing, sneezing, or talking. Also sharing items that has saliva on them like water bottles or cups, and participating in close contact activities like playing sports, dancing, or kissing. Mumps actually is not an airborne disease. An infected person can spread mumps from a few days before the salivary glands begin to swell up to 5 days after the swelling begins through droplet transmission.
Bacteria ba ito, Dr. Nicole? Is this a virus? Is there some way that someone can be protected from mumps?
This is included in your MMR vaccine. So that's your measles, mumps, rubella vaccine. So if any of you have children less than 2 years old, you will see that your child received 1 MMR vaccine at the age of 12 to 15 months. And they get their second shot when they're about 4 to 6 years old. So right about school age. So that's the best way to prevent it. So if you have 2 doses of your MMR vaccine, that's about 88% protective. But of course, we have to remember, wala pong perfect vaccine. No? So over time, bumababa din yung protective antibodies that you get from the vaccine. That's why you have a booster.
How about a booster shot for adults? Is this something practical to do? Should adults who have had an MMR when they were a child, should they get boosted in order to protect themselves from one of these mumps?
Your levels of antibodies decrease over time. So I'm like you and I, we had our MMR booster right before medical school. And sometimes these are requirements prior to starting college or prior to starting work. So this is usually included in your pre-employment screening or preschool screening.
Why should we be very vigilant in trying to prevent the spread of mumps, the infection of mumps? Let's talk about some of the complications that someone with mumps may have if they contract this.
There are many complications actually for mumps. And one of these is it may cause pain and swelling of the testicles for the males and ovaries for females. That will actually resolve in 1 week. Take note that this rarely results to infertility. Mumps may also cause inflammation of the pancreas that will lead to the upper abdominal pain, and as well as it can cause inflammation of the brain and its covering, leading to encephalitis or meningitis, posing a severe headache, nausea, vomiting, and confusion.
Dr. Nicole, can mumps appear to be or mistaken to be any other disease that might be common among Filipinos?
It can present similarly to bacterial infection or bacterial infection of the salivary gland. So that would also cause fever, body aches, headaches, and swelling of the infected salivary gland. So it can actually be mistaken for that. But your doctor will help you differentiate between mumps and bacterial infection. So it can also be mistaken for other causes of viral infections that can cause swelling of the lymph nodes, but particularly bacterial sialadenitis or bacterial infection of your salivary glands.
How can someone be properly diagnosed to have mumps so that the proper treatment may be started?
We usually diagnose mumps based on the swollen salivary glands. A buccal swab specimen is collected within 3 days after the swelling of the gland. That is the preferred specimen to confirm mumps infection. This swab sample may be submitted for RT-PCR to detect the RNA of the virus. Also, a sample from your saliva or a blood sample may be submitted for RT-PCR.
Up next, we'll discuss how to treat as well as prevent diseases like infectious mononucleosis and mumps. MedTalk Health Talk will be right back.
SMC, San Miguel Corporation. Bisag unsang industriya ang sudlan niini, tinguha sa SMC ang pag-uswag o paglambo sa mga Pilipino. Karon, gikan sa SMC, aniya na ang SMC Davao Cement. SMC Davao Cement. Gama sa Davao para sa Mindanao. SMC Davao Cement. Ato ni Bay.
Maayong balita sa tanan sa atong panginahanglan sa panimalay, mga gamit, ingon man mga dekorasyon, pwede na natong mapalit diha sa Wellington Bazaar. Anausab sa Wellington Bazaar ang mga bestidahon, karsunison, plain t-shirt, plastic chair, floor mat, mantel, banig, folding bed, habol, mosketero, trapal, lideret, basketball, stuffed toys ug mga dulaan sa bata. Ang Wellington Bazaar ana magalagad kanato sa Dalan Kaimo ning Dakbayan sa Surigao. Wellington Bazaar, gikan sa mga kawani og tigdumala sa Wellington Bazaar. Mayong adlaw alang kaninyo. Wellington Bazaar, sukion ta sa kanunay.
GSM Blue ang kasama. Drink responsibly. Ang Gen Pomelo, kuhang-kuha ng GSM Blue. Choose what's true and just chill and enjoy with GSM Blue. Drink responsibly.
Uy, Day! Naunsa man ka, Day?
Day, kanang glisod na mo kakita, Day. Uy!
Sus, naunsa ba ka? Uy nga, katong ni aging bulan. Okay pa man ka. Naunsa, Day, karon?
Laot siguro ni sisingunit aning cellphone ka ng si computer, Day.
Da, mo lagi na akong ingon ba? Uy, Day, nakoy balita para sa imuha. Gamit og Lutein Plus, uy!
Lutein Plus?
Oo, tungod ang Lutein Plus, Day, duna kini 13 ka-ingredients. Hindi lang kini para sa mata, kundi sa imuhang tibuok lawas. Nga maka-assist po sa imuhang anxiety o depression.
Ang Lutein Plus o sa ka-award-winning brand nga gikan pa sa New Zealand.
The award-winning supplements from Clean Green, New Zealand Omega Plus ang support sa heart and blood system. Ang Lutein Plus ay 13 ka mga ingredients, lakip ng vitamins A and C. Dili lamang kung maradyaw sa itong pananaw, nagsuporta sa bini sa ato intirulawas ning panahon nga jari kita kuman sa COVID-19 pandemic. Kinahanglan magpabilin kitang himsog inom sa Lutein Plus, Omega Plus and Primrose Plus of Gel. Inintanan available din sa New Family Drug, Palma Drug sa Aquarian Pharmacy.
Kalabo with garlic plus lemongrass and turmeric. Maayo kini alang sa mga naganto sa high blood. Kung perming kasakit ang imong tangkugo, kung masobraan ka og kaon sa mga lami ang pagkaon, basig ning tukar na ang imong high blood. Pagtumar higala og kalabo with garlic plus lemongrass and turmeric. Usa ka capsule bago mo gaon aron siguradong protektado kang kanunay. Kalabo with garlic plus lemongrass and turmeric. Masaligan og siguradong epektibo batok sa high blood. Kalabo with garlic plus lemongrass and turmeric. Kalabo with garlic plus lemongrass and turmeric is a quality product of Jesser Marketing.
RPN Radio Philippines Network. Radyo Ronda DXKS Surigao. Member, kapisanan ng mga broadcaster ng Pilipinas.
I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, and this is MedTalk Health Talk, your partner in healthcare. Let's talk about a little bit about the treatment for both infectious mononucleosis as well as mumps, and what you can do in your lifestyle to try and prevent these types of diseases. I'll start first with Doc Matt. When it comes to lifestyle, we talked about some of the risk factors of contracting infectious mononucleosis as well as mumps. What can people do with their overall health?
Since now we know the mode of transmission of these two viral diseases, we have to put emphasis on how to prevent it. Number one is if you're going outside, you have to wear masks, prevent from doing intimate activities with a person with unknown vaccination status. And also, you have at least healthy diet. You have to drink more water. You have to balance your diet with fruits and vegetables.
Dr. Nicole, I'd like to talk about vaccines a little bit with you. A lot of Filipinos now are well aware of the limitations of vaccines, what to expect, especially when it comes to boosters as well. In general, though, how should people treat vaccines, especially when it comes to vaccine-preventable diseases?
In this case for mumps, no, because you could transmit the infection even before symptoms of lymph node swelling. So I think what's important is you're up to date with your boosters, because of course some parents think that once their child has had a childhood dose, then that will last them throughout their child's lifetime. So I think what's important is to keep in touch with your family doctor or your pediatrician and make sure your children, even if they're teenagers already, are up to date with their, not just the primary doses, but their boosters as well.
What advice can you give those who have been diagnosed with infectious mononucleosis or with mumps for that matter? How should they treat that?
We try to stay as healthy as possible. Sometimes it's just unavoidable. You do get exposed to somebody who is sick with these infections. And I guess what's best is to keep your health up. During the pandemic, a lot of us have been trying to lose weight, stay fit, stay healthy, exercise. And these are all factors that can help us get over these infections faster and prevent complications, because it's hard to really say that, you know, there's something that will 100% prevent you from any of these illnesses. So I guess what's best is to keep your batting average of getting over these high, so that staying healthy and being up to date with your shots.
When it comes to the vaccine for mumps, should people be aware of any side effects that yung vaccine for mumps might bring?
Usually, number one is the pain at the injection site. That is the most common. And some of the patients receiving this MMR would have a slight fever because this is a live vaccine. And also feeling of being tired. Rarely that would cause a loss of appetite, but that could be a risk factor, but at least lightest chance.
Infectious mononucleosis caused by the EBV, Epstein-Barr virus. Do we have a vaccine for that?
Unfortunately, we don't. But what's good about this is that we can identify it based on the signs and symptoms and lab tests. So that should help your doctor diagnose it correctly, even if we don't have anything to prevent it yet.
And that was another insightful episode here on MedTalk Health Talk. Thank you very much, Dr. Nicole Pereras Grande and Dr. Cesar Matthew Madria, for being with us today and sharing your tips and expertise about infectious mononucleosis and mumps. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, and thank you for watching MedTalk Health Talk. We'll see you again next time.